So, Donald Trump is our new president, and Mike Pence is our vice president. I'm not a big political person. Growing up in New York, I guess I was just lucky enough that it was a blue state. So it's never something that I thought about. It's not something I feel like that was really taught to me in like social studies class and like history and all that stuff. It was something I never paid attention to because I felt like it never really affected me being in a blue state like that. The first time that I was able to vote, I didn't vote, and that's when George Bush got his second term. I told myself, I was like, okay, other people who thought that my vote didn't count, that's the reason Bush was elected for a second term. So since I had that mentality, I feel like I was able to grow from that and try and learn a little bit more about politics and everything. And I told myself that I would vote for the president every year that I could. When it came down to Obama and McCain, I had this weird like sinking feeling in my chest. That feeling of uncertainty was taken away once Obama got elected. And I felt more at ease, I felt safer, I felt like my world, my country, my surroundings were gonna change for the better. These past 8 years, I luckily have been able to feel like I belonged in a community. I was able to grow, I learned a lot about different laws and how it affects me as a person of the LGBT community. I was working yesterday and I'm kind of glad I did because it kind of helped me get my mind off of a lot of things. I mean, I did have those moments where I would look and I'd be like, why is everything so red? It got to the point where once I was home, I just stayed on my bed and I was just staring at my screen, baffled at how things were turning out. It started getting me thinking about the Republican Party and how is this how they felt when Obama was elected? Were they scared for their lives in one sense or another? I think some of the biggest things that I've noticed in my experience between the Democratic and the Republican Party is that the Democratic Party can be very empathetic when it comes to other people's feelings. Me, at least, as a Democrat, I will understand the way certain people think. I might not agree with it, but I'll respect it because that's what our Constitution's about. It's about free speech, it's about whatever you think is valid. Everything is valid. The difference, I feel, is that the Republicans don't seem to have that much empathy. Obviously, I'm not talking about every Republican. Everybody has different thoughts and stances when they're a Republican. Same thing with Democrats. Not everybody's gonna believe in every single thing that a Democrat believes in. But when it comes to empathy and trying to listen to other people's experiences and trying to see that there is more than just you in this world, Republicans don't allow that to happen. I feel like they don't think of the future. They're thinking about the now. And that's what's scary, is because they want to keep things the way that it is. For me, it just seems like they don't want the human race to grow in a way that they don't like, I guess. For me, it makes me feel like, you know, you're rooting to be a good guy. You're rooting for the good guy, you're rooting for the hero. And then when something like this happens, when the bad guy wins, you kind of like sit back and you think, was I the bad guy the whole time? Am I thinking wrong? But that's exactly what the other party wants you to think. They want you to think that you're wrong. They want you to not fight. They want you to just take things as they are. But I don't want to do that. I want to fight. I have the privilege of being born here in the United States. I was born in New York. My parents are immigrants from Colombia, this wonderful country right here that has done so much to my cultural upbringing. I feel like I have the privilege to be able to go to another country like Colombia and live there while this is happening. But is that what I want to do? Do I really want to just leave when this country might need me the most? Might need people like me the most? I don't want to run away. I feel like people who are in my situation need to understand that. Yes, we can be angry. We're allowed to be angry. It's warranted. I don't think it's fair to put the blame on the third-party voters. Everyone's allowed to exercise their right to vote. Yes, it would have been nice to have a little more support from those third-party voters, because I feel like under Hillary, it would have been a lot easier to grow when it comes to like new ideas and all that stuff, as opposed to Donald Trump. But we can't be mad at them for that. I found out today that both my brother and my sister did not vote. Yes, they both live in New York, so regardless, Hillary won it. But I think it's that mentality that made swing states like Florida go more towards the Trump side, because people were like, oh, my vote doesn't count, or blah, blah, blah. It's so weird to think that Hillary won by 18 votes on New Hampshire, I believe it was. Hold on, let me fact check myself. Yes, I understand that the popular vote and the electoral votes are completely different. But the electoral votes are the people that we voted for during the primaries and stuff. We voted for the people who are voting for the president. And if you didn't vote for the people who are voting for the presidents, then that's part of the problem. I think more research has to be done when it comes to voting. I think a lot of people don't think it affects them because it doesn't affect them directly. But what about the people that you might know? that are affected by it. This whole thing is it's just very scary for me, for a lot of us. My friend Stevie made a long Facebook post, and one thing he said was, I find some comfort in knowing that the older generation of people in our communities have lived through tougher times. It's our turn to stand up and fight for the next generation. The marginalized people in this country are by far the strongest. We've been through the most. We've faced bullies our entire lives. This is no different. I think the fact that we have been able to live our lives the way we have and not have to deal with something so big is a privilege in itself. We haven't had to fight for something because of the people who have done it for the older generation. Growing up as a gay man and being called a faggot and basically feeling threatened for my life for a lot of it is a terrible thing. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody because I've experienced it. We want people to understand our experiences, to have our experiences validated. And I think this is why representation matters. This is why Black Lives Matters. Under Reagan, so many LGBT people died because of HIV and AIDS. The fact that our marriage equalities can be taken away is a huge factor in this. The fact that a lot of the HIV funds are gonna go to conversion therapy so that I need to be electrocuted to become straight. Fuck that, I don't wanna be straight. Yeah, maybe my life would have been a lot easier, but it would have been boring as fuck. I wanted to make this video, I think, just so I can like try and process my way of thinking when this all happened. I was reading a lot of Facebook posts and I was getting very emotional over it. I feel like I'm lucky that I've managed to surround myself with people that have the same views as me. It just shows that I do kind of live in a bubble, I guess, because when you surround yourself with positive people and with a lot of people who are there for you, that's when you feel safe and that's when you feel at home. The thing that's scary about this whole situation is that there are so many people out there that had that same mindset that Donald Trump has. I feel like he doesn't believe that all men are created equally. I fear for what's gonna happen to this country. These next 4 years cannot go any quicker. And in 2 years, when we're able to elect the people that decide the electoral votes, I'm hoping that as a nation we are more informed as to who we are voting for. I've been trying to like catch up on my vlogs and everything on my second channel, but this has got like thrown me off for a loop and I was already in a hiatus to begin with. So just add this to another excuse as to why I'm not uploading again. No, but in all seriousness, I am gonna try to. I think it'll probably be a good way to like get my mind off a lot of things for the moment. We're allowed to mourn, we're allowed to be upset. I think what we have to remember is that we can make a difference. And this shouldn't dishearten us. This shouldn't have us stop because we've come so far. This is the first time that the Republicans swept like the US Senate and everything and all since 1928. And if I recall correctly, I believe the Depression lasted from 1929 to 1939, which is a whole decade. So I'm just hoping that history does not repeat itself. I'm hoping that Donald Trump is trolling us and doesn't end up being Hitler-esque. And I just hope that we can persevere. Is there ways that you are coping with this? I felt weird being in my apartment by myself with my cats, just staring at the screen for hours and looking at all the numbers and the different states, seeing which states I didn't want to visit anytime soon. As Ellen DeGeneres says, be kind to one another. I hope you guys are doing well. And until next week, please take care of yourselves. Toodles. Also, the fact that Donald Trump is going to be at Disney in the Hall of Presidents forever makes me feel like Regina from Mean Girls when everyone is getting elected to be the next spring fling queen and she goes, what is happening to the world?